Thank you, Craig. Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another of our amazing reviews. It's just me today, Purple Midnight 8. Morgan cannot be with us today, either because he is working, doing other things, but mainly, he just hasn't seen the fucking film yet. However, I'm not completely alone. I am joined with my always amazing fiance, Amelia. If you would like to introduce yourself.
So, some of you, I don't know what I'm saying that like that, but some of you may know me from the ASMR channel and random shit that I've done throughout the years on YouTube. But anyway, I'm Fallen Petals 1111.
And you have another channel, which is mainly for your book stuff and gaming.
Oh, the Obsidian Nook.
The Obsidian Nook, yes. I will leave a link in the description for her channel because she would do the same for me. But yeah, today we will be reviewing we're very late on this one, Halloween Ends, which came out last month, nearly a whole month ago now.
This is the final chapter in the third film, innit? Because they did two before this, so it's the final one.
It's the final one of their trilogy, and we went into it thinking that this was just going to be they were going to call it the end of their trilogy, but they were just going to use it to make more. They were just going to leave it on a cliffhanger to be like, we will continue it in the future. We will continue the story, but really it'd just be like, we like money. Give us your money.
Yeah, that kind of didn't happen, did it? It was kind of, yeah, I'm bearing in mind I was kind of not a massive Halloween fan. I was kind of introduced to it from my late mum. So I kind of watched the last three, and we kind of did that one. The last one was a trio with my stepdad. I was highly disappointed by it.
Yeah, to say disappointed was, well, it's a bit of an understatement to say we were disappointed by the last one.
The last two were fine.
I must say, when we say the last one, we mean Halloween Ends, the most recent one that came, as I say, last month. But we'd seen the previous two. We're a bit late on the draw with this one. Of course, Halloween Kills was the last one, and then Halloween was the 2018 one. It's definitely an interesting film. We'll give our thoughts throughout. I must say, right off the bat, spoilers. Major spoiler warning.
And a bit of a rant and a moan.
And same to do with Black Adam. Beware of foul language. I mean, I've already sworn about 10 seconds into this video. It's going to be... Yeah, and she said it right at the beginning anyway. So, as I say, this will probably be a long one. So strap yourselves in for bad language, angry remarks, anything.
And go and get yourself some snacks and a drink,
Kick back, relax, and listen to just a lot of hate. At least Black Adam I enjoyed. This, I was just... It was a joke.
But I want to clarify that Jamie Lee Curtis is really good. So it's not directed personal hate to the cast and crew. It's just how it was written, kind of filmed, and it was kind of a bit cringy as well.
There was a lot of cringe. But yeah, as we say, this will be a long one. Sit back, relax, get ready. Spoilers, swearing, all of the good stuff that you would expect from our channel if you've watched anything that's had any sort of voices in. Also, there is a cat with us right now. It's not the cat that is used to represent Amelia in the thumbnail. But he's an old fart. His name is Silver. So if we shout at something, if we're just shouting the word Silver.
And if you go onto my channels, there's a few videos with him in that you can see him on. So.
And I promise you, this will not just be a video of her plugging her several channels. We'll try, but here we are. So as I say, spoiler warning, if you haven't seen it already, it's been out nearly a month. Yeah, I think it's probably at the end of its cinema circulation now. If not, very close.
I should imagine they've cut it down to like one a day or something like that, because that's normally what they do. When
they progressively just slow it down and then get rid of it. If not, I mean, it'll be out on DVD, even though it was terrible.
I'm fully aware that when Jamie Lee Curtis promoted this, she did say that if you weren't able to go to the cinema due to many different reasons and you wanted to watch it at home, I do believe that you can rent it to watch it at home.
I also think...
So it's not just cinema only.
Yeah, I think I saw it as well when when we were getting ready to set this up, and I was just making the thumbnail. I think it also says it's streaming on Peacock. I don't.
But if you're not sure where it is, just leave us a comment and we'll find out. And we'll just drop where it is streaming online, like what service it's on.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and it says it's streaming on Peacock, which is a streaming service I've never heard of. I don't know if it's quite like a lesser known one, but
I know it's known. I just don't know.
That's a fair point. There's a couple of them we don't have, unless it's like a reboot. Either way, yeah, let's know, because we're lost. We don't have knowledge of streaming services other than like Disney Plus and Netflix.
Yeah.
And Paramount that had that terrible Halo show on it. So yeah, enough chit chat. We'll get down to the details of this, if you want to call it a film. We'll get straight into it. We'll start off right at the beginning. So the movie begins, I believe. Well, I'm looking at it now on Halloween night in 2019. Where with our unfortunate main character, Corey, who you will be hearing a lot about in this review because we have many thoughts we want to share about him. This guy, he's babysitting this kid called Jeremy.
Oh my goodness, that was such that scene in itself. I'll let you finish because I don't want to like spoil it.
The whole opening was probably the highlight of the whole film.
Yeah.
I mean, except for the fact we're stuck with Corey as a main character for the rest of the film is a shame, but that whole opening was incredible, and I was like, this could be good.
I kind of feel, at the start of the film, you kind of feel sorry for Corey.
You feel sorry for him, but then as the film progresses, you're just like, man, this guy's a dick.
The moral of the story is he's babysitting this kid who turns out to be a spoiled little brat.
This kid, may we say, is, as she just said, a complete piece of shit. He gives Corey so much shit throughout the opening, and I think it's meant to be in the 2018 version. One of the characters is babysitting a kid in that as well before she's killed by Michael Myers. I think it was meant to be like oh, people really like that. They like the banter between these two. But now it's just like, dude, you're like a grown man. Like, stop taking this shit. Fucking punt that kid across the room. Like, come on.
This kid was just so spoiled to the.
He lives in a big house. He's not in like we don't have those kinds of big houses everywhere in the UK, but this is like basically a mansion this dude this kid lives in with his parents.
Yeah, for you guys watching over in America, we have houses that are in kind of rows where we don't get a lot of space. And we pay nearly like 200 and something thousand house, even nearly 400,000.
Like a basic house is that sort of money, and it's like, and then they're still like, yeah, we want your rent as well. This is just to live here. This is to have the privilege of living here.
We kind of live in small houses, and you can't really overflow on.
And a key bit of information is regarding this review: we don't have more than 2 stories like this kid's house does. And thankfully, considering what happens,
mention the massive staircase as well.
Yeah, as I say, multi-story. As I say, a big fucking mansion. This kid's parents minted, so he just ends up getting irritated by the kid. They chase him. He goes up into the attic, thinking that's where he is. It's this big like tease because he stops at the bottom of the stairs and look up, and he's like, "Jeremy," and it leaves you thinking like, "Ooh, is it Michael already?" So he goes up into the attic, and he gets locked in by the kid, and the kid is fine. The kid does a great job of being a little prick.
He's like, "Are you scared?"
It's like, you scared? You scared, legal adult? Are you scared of being locked in an attic? And he gets annoyed. Corey is yelling at this kid. He's trying to break out, and he boots the door open, hitting this kid in the face, and he fucking topples over the rails and fucking dies.
Oh, so it was Corey's fault then, because I thought
he's right behind the door, and he kicks it so hard it swings open and hits him, and this kid fucking plummets, hits the floor, just as the parents get back. And it's just like, fucking hell.
That was a really kind of good scripted scene. Because the blood detail was really, the details of the gore and everything was really good. But they put the music at the beginning like
Yeah, the typical Halloween theme that you would expect. Silver's just following him.
Gonna come out, but then he doesn't.
It's like, oh, is Michael going to come out and kill this poor child and this fucking manlet?
He's nowhere to be seen yet.
No, the opening has nothing to do with Michael. And it's bold, but then eventually the whole film ends up just being nothing to do with Michael. And it's just like, oh, okay. So as I say, that the opening alone made me think, wow, this could be a good film.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a strong start to kill a kid. Like I said in Black Adam, with a review of Black Adam, it's just like, it takes a lot for a movie to kill off a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of restrictions, but also you can get a lot of backlash for killing a child, and this kid is young.
But that did affect him throughout the film, though.
That did fuck him up.
Come up quite a few times, didn't it? To the point where he went back to the house, didn't he?
Yeah, he ends up living in the house later on. Weirdly.
No, he was in there with Jamie Lee. Sorry, not.
No, he's sleeping on the floor where the kid died. But we'll get to that later. So there's a load of we meet everyone again. This is 3 years later. So I must mention Corey is 21 when he's babysitting that kid. So by the main point in the story, he's 24. That sort of age period. So we meet Laurie, who's moved on, even though it's been a year, and it had been like 40 years since his original spree. But she's fine, by the way. She's writing a book. She's living with Allison, whose spelling of the name I don't like. After, may I say, Karen, played by Judy Greer, is definitively dead.
Because in the film before that,
in Halloween Kills,
gets killed in that one, which I thought was I didn't like the move that they made with that one.
She was like the last person to die, and like the credits roll straight after.
Yeah.
It was very much like a comeback for the next film, where Laurie is going to be big angry.
But I'm glad that Laurie and Alison were close, because before that they weren't talking to their grandmother.
Yeah, they were struggling. Yeah. They thought that Michael was locked up and she had nothing to be worried about. As of the events of the first two. The previous two in the trilogy, Kills, and the 2018 reboot thing, whatever they called it. Like, she was right, and obviously a lot of people fucking die. So it's just, it was good. I mean, it was fine, but it was stupid for them to be like, wow, this lunatic who's killed people before, he's never going to break out of prison. And like, they kill a kid in that film as well. Like, they drive up to the bus when it's crashed. This kid he has a very husky voice. You probably don't even remember it. But anyone who likes the film, but he breaks this fucking kid's neck against a window. Like, he smashes it. Oh. But yeah, we'll get back to their relationship later because it gets very stupid. So yes, Laurie's living with Allison. They're all having a happy ever after, essentially, sort of like. Yeah, it's that sort of attitude. It's sort of like this
nice house, and they bought
they got it from the couple in the last film, the two guys who lived there, who were basically the best characters. I think they said they bought their house.
Oh right, okay.
Which also I think also used to be Michael's house.
That would make sense.
I think they said that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I may be fucking. I may just be delusional.
But they kind of set themselves up for this nice house, this nice life.
They've moved on. Yeah. They've got like a life now.
She's writing her book and stuff. And I kind of like the scene of how, because like in the film, you see her kind of office type, where she's doing all her work and everything. And
she's like in a study. Yeah, like this nice little peaceful room where she can write her book in peace.
For someone who loves books and who does review on my channel, again, I'm just going to throw that in there.
Yeah, no, I did say, we'll try not to have her just plug for the entire fucking video.
But no, I kind of really like the green kind of fashioned lamp thing I kind of thought it was really nice how it was set up.
It was like your dream room. I can imagine you didn't even know she was writing a book. You just saw books and was like, pretty. I like this books. I'll read books. I can relate to this character. So yeah, they talk, and then Alison now works in a hospital, which is a key bit of information, which I forgot, except there is some scenes later that are pointless, except for one. But yeah, Corey now works at his stepfather's scrapyard.
Yeah.
And his dad gives him a motorcycle.
Something like that, because with the scrapyard, there's a very important metal kind of crushing machine.
Yeah, that's like a metal crusher.
So massive spoiler, it does.
Hang on, we'll save the spoiler for later, unless you've seen the damn thing. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, "This is going to come back, and someone's going to die."
Well, they do a shot on it, doesn't
they? Focus the shot on
it before anything happens, anything bad. There's a screenshot or the focus on that particular machine that at the beginning of the film, it doesn't make sense.
And if you have any knowledge of a film, even if it's like the most basic film, if they show you something, that is going to be important. If they focus a shot on it, you know it's going to come back. And in a horror film, horror, if you want to call Halloween Ends a horror, for being
sitting there like thinking, well, this must be important for something.
I said to you, I said first shot, I was like, that's coming back. And I was right, because it comes back later on, and we'll get to that. But he works there, he goes home, he goes to like a petrol station, and he buys a glass bottle of chocolate milk. This guy's an adult now, and he's like, I still need my chalky milk. He still needs this bottle of chocolate fucking milk like a child. I know he's like traumatized, but he's like, I still need my chalky milk. And he goes out, and there are these fucking bullies who I have. Oh, hang on, let me get my notes.
Oh my god, these particular teenagers or children.
These are teenagers.
These arseholes of children who we will put in there that they are not okay with bullying. They do kind of bully Corey because of the history, which I 100% don't agree with, but Payback can be a bitch. And
Payback is a bitch. We've had that. But in my notes, they are literally written as whiny, irritating, stereotype bully characters. Because there's obviously the lead is like this jock.
Yeah,
but a key bit of information is these kids are in band. There's this stupid one that has a fucking mullet as a hairstyle that has drumsticks. These are like nerdy kids bullying a fucking adult man.
But there is one who does particularly show that she kind of
she's still in on it, but she is like, we need to like draw a line. This is taking it too far, and they basically just go, shut up, and that's it.
Which I feel like she's being led from the wrong crowd, and she kind of can't get out of it.
It's like she's fallen in with the wrong group, and because they're clearly like the popular kids, but they're still like the band kids. They're she's just trying to fit in any means, but she's also got like her own set of morals. And I will say now, this has no fucking payoff. This nice character could have been like the one survivor where, I'll spoil it a little bit, these kids get fucking slaughtered later.
I wish they would, or
I wish they could have let her live, but our killer, who I'll reveal in a bit, goes a bit who isn't Michael. It isn't Michael. Goes fucking berserk and slaughters these kids. And she dies as well. And it's just like, oh, this pointless, like, nice character is dead.
That kind of really upset me when she died, because I was like, I think she's just with the wrong people. Like, I kind of feel like they should have given her a chance.
They could have had her be a bit more of a character. Or have like, the group accidentally kill her, and that just makes our killer a bit madder. But it's just like, no, she just dies with the rest of them. So he gets angry, he smashes his bottle of chalky milk in his hand. And they're just like, ooh, big scary, ooh, you're angry. It's garbage. It's stupid. And again, as I said a minute ago, he's 24 and he's being bullied by kids that are less than 18 years old. like punch the cunt. Sorry, big word.
He doesn't know how to stand up for himself,
No.
really, and he wasn't meant to either in the script. I don't know.
They should. Well, he kind of does stand up for himself in a way, but he breaks his chalky milk. He spills it everywhere. Cuts his hand.
But then,
conveniently, Laurie is nearby.
She turns up, doesn't she?
No, she's there. She watches it because she doesn't like pull up in her car. She's just like leaning next to it, and she like draws a knife, and it's just like, "Do you want to do it?" And even Corey's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And she's obviously means stabbing the tires out. So that's basically used to be like connecting the characters to be like, we haven't just got two stories going. This is connected. So he takes, as I said earlier, the key bit of information is that Alison works in a hospital. So Laurie then takes her to, conveniently, I don't know how many hospitals are in.
Conveniently, Laurie takes him to the hospital where Alison is, so Alison can kind of patch him up in his hand, with this other doctor who was in the room who was doing it.
This doctor is a scumbag. He treats her like shit.
He does.
He's very much set up to die, and thankfully he does. But he's definitely set up to just be like this scummy character that you're just meant to hate. And he's also flirting with this nurse. Like, Alison and her are up for a promotion. And because obviously, as a female character and their boss, they're going to shag so that she gets the promotion. Like, come on. Way to lean into tropes that have been done a million times in a film. So yeah, these two like flirt a bit. They basically start a relationship, and this fucking thing, this relationship or whatever it is they have, is like the entire first act of the film. I said to you, it was about 20 minutes of their little lovey-dovey crap, and I was like, can this fucking stop already? I don't care.
The first, when it started happening, I kind of thought it was cute, and I was like, oh yeah, this won't be so bad, but then it just gets so cringy. And
they totally won't drag this out for most of the film. But yeah, they go to this Halloween party where they're having a little dancey dance, they're being flirty, just like, basically your stereotypical horror movie shit where your two like lovebirds go to a party, they get a bit drunk.
Like, what was it with the strobe lights? There were so many strobe lights with flashing scenes in there, so
naturally though for a disco, so yeah.
We should say that if you suffer with any type of seizures, we should have said this at the beginning, don't go to it just because of that one scene.
And if this review puts you off, you won't be missing out on much. Just wait until Shout Out to Dead Meat does a kill count and just watch that. Because the kills are the only thing worth watching for. So yeah, they go to the Halloween party. He sort of stumbles off the dance floor and goes to the bar. He meets Jeremy's mother. Conveniently, he meets this kid he yeeted off a balcony's mother. She goes off on him. He storms out. There's loads of nonsense in between, but as I say, that relationship went on for a long time. I've skipped a large chunk of it. Like, all of Act 1 just narrowed down to fucking just Corey being bullied, lovey-dovey between him and Alison in the space of about a day.
That was basically what it kind of feels like the first half of it was, to be honest. It just felt like a lot of, really cringy, crappy romance scene. It kind of felt, bearing in mind when we saw this, there was a lot of adults in the cinema. And, when you're all going in as adults and you're watching this film and you're just seeing this really crappy, cringy romance thing, it just kind of makes you feel a bit, ugh.
It was very forced. The film could have been so much better if it wasn't put in.
More than anything, bearing in mind Halloween has been going for years and years and years.
This one was 78, I think.
it didn't feel like they were pointing it at the fans from the beginning. It felt like they were trying to get
They were trying to cash in on that market of younger
generation, who probably don't even know from way
If
back to the beginning.
if anything, they'd seen the 2018 one. I highly doubt they would have seen the original because you don't even like old films.
Well, I've seen,
and you're older than Corey is in this film.
Well, we have the box sets downstairs.
Yeah,
that we inherited from Mum.
You've seen it because your mum liked it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that they point it at the younger generation when really they needed to put it towards the older generation who have been fans from the very beginning of this. Not do all of that and then be like, we're going to point this at the younger generation. Because they haven't seen, the very first Halloween up until this one.
And considering the last film was full of fan service, the amount of original characters like Lindsay, you had Nurse Chambers, and Tommy Doyle, who everyone except Lindsay dies, so it was pointless.
That is my biggest issue with this film, is how they aimed it, because it kind of feels really disrespectful to the fans who have been there from the start.
And considering, again, Michael's barely in it, it didn't feel like a Halloween film.
Yeah, he
does have about 15 minutes of screen time. But literally in my notes, I've got boring, pointless romantic subplot that goes literally nowhere, other than just to make Laurie and Allison have some disagreements. So he gets out the Halloween party, he stomps up off the road, and just has a bit of an argument with Allison, just being like, you can't fix me. People like you because you're a survivor. You survived, Michael, and I killed someone, and that makes me bad. So
Allison became so stubborn, didn't she, in this one?
Allison gets in a relationship with him and just becomes a bitch.
She did all that fighting in the last film, didn't she? Where
in films, they really had to be this big, strong lead, and it just all of it gets undone.
She wasn't whiny at all in the last two, but this one, she was just whining about every little thing.
She becomes a right little moody cow. So they have the argument. She gets up, they upset. They go further up the road, and the fucking bullies come back. The same bullies from earlier conveniently happen to be around the corner. And they pick on him again. This time, he at least draws a knife on these kids. But then they immediately slap it out of his hand. And it's just oh, okay, that was pointless. No, it gets slapped off and flies over the overpass, the bridge they're on, which is helpful for later on when when we get further in. But they slap it off. They knock his glasses off and step on him. This is as it says, 2019 was the intro. This is 3 years later. This is obviously this year. They step on his glasses, and these are 80. These are glasses you would see people wearing in the first one.
Yeah.
These big round frames. I step on it, shatter it. He does not replace them or wear contacts for the rest of the film, and it irritated the shit out of me. So they as the lead jock. I'm not even going to bother looking up his name or his actor because I don't care. I mean, no disrespect to the actor, he did his best with what he was given. But the character irritated me so much, I cared very little. They push him off the fucking bridge, and he lands hard, on his front.
No, let's just add that with the bridge, it's not going to be a little short fall. It's probably going to be.
It's a big fall.
Yeah.
He falls off an overpass into the side of a river.
Nothing's broken or anything. He gets up. Well, I think
Michael, who actually finally doesn't show up, it's his hand drags him into his little sewer drain, where he meets him. It's really dumb. He wakes up, he walks around a bit, and Michael reaches for him through the wall and grabs him by the throat. And then it zooms in on his eye, and he sees he's in trauma. Michael lets him go. He's just oh, I'm done with you. I'll see you when I need you.
Only because I think he knew that after he saw these images, because we have flashbacks and stuff, that Corey's going to be for Michael,
and that is
the
catalyst for the rest of the events of the film.
He was so kind of up Michael's backside, willing to do anything. Because at one point he was show me how it's done.
Yeah, it's a lot of cringe dialogue.
Mm.
It's very stupid. So he gets up, understandably confused that this mass murderer just let him go. And he gets out and is confronted by this homeless dude who has been shown in a few scenes before just passively. But he sort of attacks him, he grabs him, he starts threatening him with a knife. And Corey stabs him. Interesting. It's shot to be like, oh, did the homeless guy stab him or not? But like he stabs him once, like in the side, and it kills him instantly.
Mm.
Like he sort of like lets him go and he falls to the ground dead. This old guy was like stabbed in the least lethal place he could be and dies instantly. He doesn't bleed out. He falls to the ground stone dead.
I'm sure like anywhere in the chest or abdomen you get stabbed, it's going to be a bit of a slow death.
If you get stabbed like in the heart, you're obviously going to die. But anywhere else, you're going to expect your body to shut down, internal bleeding. Like, you're going to bleed out. You're not going to be like stabbed in the gut and then die instantly. But that just happens to this random homeless guy who's set up to be like, could this be a mysterious new character? And then it's like, oh, he's dead. Okay, moving on. And like Corey just sort of like legs it. He like yeets the knife. He throws it back up onto the bridge, I think. Which is pointless because then no one ever fucking mentions it.
I saw him throw something, but you would think that, again, if you're one of those people who thinks of films realistically, him falling off the bridge and then being able to walk and run doesn't make sense, along with the
Yeah, he's not limping. He's a bit bruised, but he's not, like, hurt. He got pushed off a fucking bridge.
You know, and then the fact you stab someone and you don't take the knife with you, so you're leaving DNA evidence and everything.
As you say, he threw it towards the bridge, which is just asking to get spotted by a passerby. And considering the dead guy, like, the homeless guy is just dead in the middle of, like, this opening. It's just like, all that someone has to do is look at the knife, look over the edge, and there's a dead guy. Unless Michael hid the body. Michael covers up his tracks. Michael likes to bury the bodies and give them a proper funeral. So Corey legs it. He immediately goes to fucking... Well, he doesn't go to fucking... He goes to Laurie's house, Laurie and Allison's house, because he knows where they live.
Mm.
For whatever... No, we skip the subplot. He does basically go to her house and pick her up for the party, I think.
Yeah.
Excuse me, one moment. I'm just caught my wire. So he goes to the house. There is a shot where Corey is set up to look like Michael Myers behind the hedge. He sort of peeks out behind it. It's very much from the first film where Laurie looks out in the washing lines and Michael's there. It's an homage that's not very subtle.
Mm.
But they go out. He goes there. He sort of jump scares bloody Laurie. And then they go out on a date to this diner. It's very, very much like it's just a meeting. He was basically going to confess he murdered her. Murdered him, not her, sorry. They go on a date. And then the ex-boyfriend shows up. There was nothing that suggested he was an ex-boyfriend until I looked here. The police officer.
Mm.
Who, in my notes, is put in as Walking Dead man, I think.
I remember that scene.
It's the whole time he was there, I was like, I know him from somewhere.
I kind of remember that scene very well, because it's where he kind of comes and pesters Allison.
He sort of, like, sexually harasses her, but not... is very much suggestively.
Mm.
He's very much like this piece of shit ex-boyfriend character. He I will get the name of, because it bothered me. But he played one of the wolves in The Walking Dead who attacked Alexandria. Jesse Boyd. And the entire time, I knew he wasn't a main character in The Walking Dead, but he definitely wasn't a main character. But the whole time I was like, I know his face. And I was like, I swear he's in The Walking Dead. Look at him in that.
He was such an arse.
He was such a piece of shit character. Corey sort of yells at him for a minute. And I said to you, the only point in that scene that I cared about was the fact that one of the band members of Shinedown was in it as a quick cameo. I said to you, I was like, it's him. It's fucking Zach Myers.
Yeah.
That's all I cared about. It's basically just a set up to be like, oh, this guy is just going to come back and be a piece of shit.
Mm.
Corey goes off one and basically tells him to fuck off.
But it's interesting because bearing in mind Corey never stood up for himself.
He couldn't stand up against these kids, but he kills one guy and he stands up to this cop who's clearly like more of a threat.
So I thought that was a bit bizarre how he couldn't do it then, but as soon as he's, you know, killed someone and got kind of a bit of that taste, he's then really protective over Allison, kind of thing.
Yeah. So Corey rides Allison. He doesn't ride Allison. Corey and Allison ride back to her house, and he's sort of following them in his car, really like unsubtly. There's the typical of a film where it's like they'll wait until they stop, they'll stop as well, they'll drive off, and then they'll drive off. But it's clear later on that Corey has known he's there because they go to the overpass again, and then where Michael is.
You know, there's something about that overpass, and they spend a lot of time at.
It's probably for budget reasons.
Are you sure it's not because Michael Myers was down in the like gutter thing?
Well, once again, it's probably for budget. Even though this is a big series, they're just still like cheap location. So it goes down. It's night time by now because time means nothing. He ambushes the cop who has a gun. The cop has a gun, and I don't think he has a gun actually. He might do, but a cop off duty in films usually has a gun. So he ambushes him. He drags him into Michael's little sewer lair, and he sort of wakes up. He's like, the cop gets up. He looks around a bit. He spots Corey, and Michael comes out, and him and Corey like double team him. Like Michael pulls this knife out of this like gunk in the wall, and like he's clearly fucked up. Considering he's been shot, stabbed, beaten, everything in the fucking book, it makes sense. But he and Corey then kill him because, as you said earlier, Corey's like, "Show me how to do it."
Yeah, that was the bit. That was
it was cringe. It was very cringe.
Which you then know that he's just a wannabe.
He just wants to be Michael. So, yeah, the two of them kill him. Michael really badly does it. He like stumbles. He does pathetic little stabs, but he stabs him loads in the end.
I think that was when he stole, because at one point he stole the mask, didn't he? And he
steals the mask later.
He was going
on. Yeah, as I said, spoilers, but we'll get to that part later. Corey is our killer. He will be, from now on, instead of saying Corey, he should be known as Mini Mike. Because that is just what he is. So Corey lures him into the sewer and like they both kill him, and Corey basically like has an orgasm over watching him finally kill him. So they cut back to the hospital, and then Allison hasn't got the promotion because her fucking workmate has got it from shagging the doctor.
Yeah.
Basically another pointless scene, but it's very much like, oh, Allison can then tell Corey, and then Mini Mike, and then Mini Mike and Big Mike. So Big Cook and Little Cook.
The scene with, you know, the
Big Mike, Mini Mike.
I kind of felt like that wasn't needed at all.
None of these scenes were in. It's very much a pad out the runtime. But that was just so that basically Mini Mike and Big Mike, you can then go to the doctor's house where, of course, the two of them are there. The doctor and other nurse character who I don't even think has a name spoken in the film. Having a date, this nice romantic thing, except they're a piece of shit character because everyone in these films, except for that one girl, are fucking dicks who die.
She was kind of really annoying to me, so I didn't really pay that much attention to her and that. But...
Yeah, they were pointless characters that served no other purpose than to die. So they go to this doctor's big luxurious house because everyone in this film has a lovely fucking house. They ambush him. Mini Mike fucking puts a bag over the doctor's head off screen and like is stabbing him when the nurse character comes out. She retreats into the house and locks the like sliding door and calls the police, may I add, which is different for a fucking character.
I think the only thing I liked about this scene is because actually Michael comes and does, he kills the woman
he actually
himself.
does something. I think he has
Corey...
2 kills the whole film. 3 kills, sorry.
Yeah, because
this is his second.
Kind of outside with the the door closed, so
yes,
kind
of shut the door on
him.
He's like at the window. She calls the police, and Michael emerges from this like back room, not the back rooms, but a back room, and does it does the thing that irritates me every time they do it in these films, is when they fucking stab them and they pin them to the wall with his kitchen knife. Because the blade is barely, like, realistically, a blade like that is only going to go into the body. But to go into the wall and deep enough to pin them to the wall without the body falling or anything, that is like a katana level of fucking, like a long sword through the wall.
Yeah,
every time they do it, I'm like, yeah, that looks cool. But in the end, it's just like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, cool, okay. So, yeah, again, kills are good. The Doctor was getting stabbed a lot in, like, the face. But Michael's kills, I think, are the lamest. Mini Mike gets, like, the best kills.
Yeah, he just...
And Big Mike is just, like, stabbing people.
That's
what he's done in most films, except the last 2.
I just kind of felt like in this one, because you had so much of the wannabe, he kind of didn't do much at all.
He did nothing but whine and kill people.
Laurie did kind of fight, but it was like at the end, so she barely did anything compared to the film.
It was an interesting choice. But they do all that. Alison basically is just like, well, it says here, like, she plans to she plans to leave with Corey, Mini Mike. And Laurie basically becomes suspicious of him for her reasons. Which in my notes I'll refer to my notes a lot because that's how these things work. It goes back to that idea that Alison's character is ruined. Like, the fact that she was built to be this big, fucking, like, strong character who you think would do some serious, like, legwork in this film, considering it's the last one, and then it's just like, she does fuck all but whine.
Yeah, there was not as many, like, fighting scenes in this one, was there? Where, like, when Michael is doing a lot of killing and Laurie's fighting him.
There's a lot of them in the last, not even 2, maybe the first of the trilogy, the 2018 film. Like, they do a lot of defending themselves. Like, the whole third act is basically them defending the house from Michael, and they all get some licks in on him. And obviously that just gets swept under a rug. But Alison, it goes back to that the romantic subplot was there just to make it so that Corey, like, she falls in love with Mini Mike. Mini Mike starts killing people. Laurie then gets suspicious of him. It's just there to add that conflict between the two of them, which was literally like the point of the first fucking in the film in a fucking trilogy.
Yeah,
because they were like, we don't trust you. We think you're crazy for what you're saying, and then it's just like, surely the events of 2018's one would have got you to think, maybe we should listen to this lady. But no, she's just like, you're wrong. I love him. Bye. And my notes is just, Alison's character's ruined because she's angry at Laurie and she doesn't trust him. Laurie literally says he's Michael at some point. And no, Alison calls her Michael, and because she won't move on from him. Like, I think she says, like, the only one keeping him alive is you.
Yeah, because with Laurie, she goes on a lot about, like, who's your boogeyman?
Yeah.
And stuff as she's writing this book. So, I mean, it was interesting how it was, how this story was meant to be written, because there was, some questions asked and one thing and another. I quite liked it, especially, in the scene where she was talking about the boogeyman. But he's been nearly killed so many times and he's still alive, so I don't really understand.
As I said earlier, with the where he was clearly injured in the sewers, like, he did go through 2 films, especially the finale of Kills, where he's, like, on the floor and he slaughters those, like, big group of people.
Yeah.
Like, they do stab him and shoot him loads, and so see it actually, like, take a toll on him, which is great. But then once he killed the cop, he's basically back to normal. Like, he impales that fucking woman to the wall magically again.
It kind of feels like an entity type thing, doesn't it?
They did set it up several times to be like, they kept saying evil dies tonight. I know Michael is basically the definition of evil for this like franchise. But like, they were basically suggesting that he was immortal from the amount of shit he was taking.
Yeah.
And like when they set up in the last film that he was like on the floor basically dead, that would have been good if they didn't confirm there was a third one. Because it could have been like, wow, they actually like killed him. But then it's like, oh yeah, there's another one coming next year.
Because like we all knew this one was coming, and it was kind of like we knew that even though the neighborhood had their turns in the last film, and they were all like stabbing him, kicking him, punching him, he was, we all knew he was going to get up because there's a third film. So it's a bit like, oh, there's no.
If they killed Michael, then it would have left so many questions, being like, then what's the third film? But that's the only issue when you announce that it's going to be a series and there's a set amount of films, you're then left thinking there's no stakes to it.
But then he gets up and he
gets up and he's fine.
Karen's in the house looking out the window, and then
she goes back for no reason.
She literally
like walks in and looks out the window just to die.
Why she went in the house, and then he just comes and stabs her and kills her.
It's just, well, we're not reviewing that film. We might go back and do it in the future now that we've suffered this last film. But it's just, it just doesn't make sense. But all the events of the last films are obsolete because it's just like, well, Allison has just reverted to being skeptical of Laurie. Laurie's just gone back to madly being like, Michael bad, he coming back. It's just, So, it says this is all set before Halloween night of 2022. So, when the film came out, it was in the future, but now it's the past. It is like mid-November when we're filming this, so... Well, it'll come out in a few days after. I'm not going to be like, so it's been a month since the film came out. I'm going to leave it another month. So, Mini Mike, after this murder, just returns to the house, well, Jeremy's house, which is abandoned for some reason. Like, this is a big house, and it was, like, fenced off and shit.
It was because, like, the mother was struggling so much to deal with it that she didn't want to let go of the house, I believe, but she didn't want to be in it. So that's kind of why she kind of kept the house, but it was abandoned.
It was abandoned, fenced off. It was very much... It wasn't set up to be like, this place has been sold, or like, this place is still lived in, because there was furniture in there that was, like, covered in tarp.
I honestly believe that she got another house and she left that one, but she couldn't, get rid of it or anything because, her son died there and they also lived there. Grief's a funny thing.
It's just never specified whether or not the house is abandoned, it's been sold, whatever. It's just confusing. So, Mini Mike is asleep. The scene opens with Mini Mike asleep on the floor because... He goes back because his trauma's related to it, like some stupid cringe reasons like that. And he's sleeping exactly where the kid landed. And there's this knocking as Laurie's like in a chair. And they basically have a confrontation where she's just like, you're a dick, stay away from Allison. And he's like, no. I don't know if it's this scene, but he says a famous line being like, if I can't have her, no one will. I can see it here. It says, blaming her for the events that have occurred in Haddonfield, even though Michael did everything.
Everyone's telling her the red flags of him, but no one's listening.
Yeah, and he's like, if he can't have Allison, no one will. And it's just like, shut up, mate.
Yeah.
So Halloween then comes, and Corey returns to the sewers and overpowers Michael Myers and steals his mask. This big 6-foot giant that like shrugs off bullets and stab wounds is overpowered by this little prick.
And it's just, well, like, Michael lets this wannabe takes his mask. Like, I thought you were so really protective over that. But like, what I really like, the only thing that I found that I like with this film is that throughout
Other than the kills.
throughout the years, they put flashbacks in at certain scenes with Michael.
Yeah.
Which I like that because they went way back to the first film when Laurie was really young.
In the last films, they had that flashback literally after the first film end. The original, I should say, where it was the young sheriff who is alive. The dude got stabbed in the neck in the 2018 film and ran over. And he's still alive in this. He comes back not worse to wear. He is fucking fine.
But may I add, it felt like that with the flashbacks, again, if you're pointing this, it feels like they're pointing this at the younger generation.
It's more like this is our legacy, but we don't care enough to make a film that feels good enough for the audience.
In there, like the younger generation don't even know like what, whether it's film 1, 2, 3 or whatever, or what film. It relies on
knowledge of the originals, which is fine, but it was, except for the Rob Zombie remakes, it had been a good few years since the first ones, like the first God knows how many films came out. So it was just like, here's footage from these films, like, here you go, make sense of it as you will. Will it serve the plot? Nope.
No, but then it doesn't really, if you're, as I say, if you're pointing it at the younger generation, they don't know what it means. They're not going to understand it. It's very kind of confusing with the flashbacks in there if they haven't seen the other films or they weren't brought up with them.
It's just nonsense, really. It's thrown in for no reason, again, other than pad out the fucking runtime. But again, he overpowers Michael. This kid is nowhere near the size or shape, pun intended, the shape, of Michael. And in the shot, it's like shot to be silhouettes. And Corey's clearly like literally like a mini version of him. So he's shorter, he's like pushing him. Michael puts up a lot of resistance. He's shot to be like, oh, Michael's going to win and kill this little imposter. But no. Fucking Mini Mike nicks his fucking mask. He overpowers this big, giant, murdering machine because he's wounded, but he's fine. What? So, there's another point I've seen of Laurie and Allison having a fight. It's just crap. So, and this is where we get to the joint best scene, where Corey... It begins, this whole, like, chunk of the film, this is where Mini Mike goes on his fucking rampage. So, it begins with him going back to the gas station, the petrol station, whatever. It's where you get fuel for your car. They go, the bullies are there. Michael, fucking hell. I wish it was Michael! Mini Mike arrives on his motorcycle. He scratches something into their car. There's some stupid fucking there's a bit of dialogue from before in the film where it's just like a callback to be like, remember they said that. So he lures them to his stepdad's scrapyard.
Oh my goodness, I remember that scene.
It's the scrapyard. And unfortunately the metal crusher is not used yet.
No, but again, they hint that it's a very important...
They once again show that the metal crusher is there, and I said to you, I was like, "This is it."
I thought that when
this is when some kid is going to get mulched.
I thought it was going to be for this.
Again, it is used. It's just not used to its full potential, where someone could have just got disintegrated.
I am kind of proud of the gore and the graphics on, this next scene, because there was a lot of drama kind of keeping you going, and it was kind of interesting.
It was definitely... This is where most of the horror came in.
I give credit to them for that, because it wasn't, you didn't have any cringe or anything. It was getting interesting now. And the kills were...
It's when Mini Mike finally shut the fuck up and the killing started.
There was one particular kill when that girl was killed. That was... the one that got to me the most, because
that is the scene. So he gets off his bike and he like disappears and ends up in a tow truck that's also parked there. So the kids arrive just after him. They chat some shit for a minute. The nice girl is basically like, maybe this is like too far. Which again, brushed over, completely pointless dialogue and character. So they're like, oh, we'll fuck his bike up. We'll make sure that it's like unrecognizable by the time we're done with it. So he tells that stupid fucking kid with a mullet to get in the car and get it ready. So they fuck him out for a minute longer. And then they're like, oh, are you coming or what? Silence. And they keep calling to him. They go closer. This kid has had a drumstick rammed through his eye. And I was like,
yeah, I think
it's deep. You think how long a drumstick is? It's just like the end sticking out.
I think it was when the whole cinema started like being like, oh, it's gonna get gory.
That's like,
it's gonna get gory.
That's when the crowd was like, oh, we're actually watching a Halloween film now. It's not just this Romeo and Juliet bullshit.
There was, I mean, bearing in mind we hadn't had many killings.
We had what? We had that kid getting yeeted. We had the ex dying and the homeless dude. That's it.
We did get like another, I think it was 3 to 4.
They got 5 kills in this segment.
Within like that scene. So it was pretty good going.
And we will go into detail because there is, again, if you have not seen this, wait for the kill count from Dead Meat to just come in and fucking show you. Well, he won't be able to show the details, but man, just watch the film for the kills. If you're going to do anything, do that. Because all the rest is bullshit. I think my notes literally has like kills are the best part.
Yeah.
And I put that like at the end. But yeah, he goes, that kid's dead. They all get scared, and then the tow truck starts. Somehow he managed to get from the car around to the tow truck. It's like a 90-degree angle, and they're like at the tip of that, like each line. So he managed to like teleport into the truck. And these kids fucking shit themselves. Like, they do a runner, the 2 girls, the nice one and this other asshole jump. Well, one.
I just want to add something. It was at that moment that they knew they fucked up.
Pretty much. But the first girl, whose name I only remember because they start crying out in a bit, Stacy, I think. She jumps the fence first, and the nice girl who, because she's a bit chubbier, she's a bit slower, gets stuck on the fence, and Mini Mike rams the fence down with her still on it, stops the truck. She survives it, I must add.
She's trapped underneath.
She's trapped under the fence and under the weight of a truck. So, but it's like she's sticking out the end of the truck, which is key for the next bit. So Stacy, this arsehole girl, runs up and it's like, oh my god, we're gonna get you out. And Mini Mike gets out with a wrench in hand, just kills her off screen. It's like, okay, yeah, she's an arsehole.
And may I add, the last victim, this, girl who tried to be nice.
She is the last one, and she's still
seeing all this, so she's the last one to be killed in this scene, so she's having to see all of them.
If I'd seen that, I'd want to be dead anyway. But he kills that girl, he disappears for a minute. The drop kid runs up to the house, into the office, and tells the stepdad who's still there for some reason, even though it's late.
He even got killed, didn't he?
I'll get to that. They arm up. He grabs a magnum. This kid, he gives this kid a fucking rifle. So they go out. They see that nice girl is stuck underneath the truck, like the fence. They're like, "We're gonna get you out." And then Jock kid. He's going to be called like Chad. Like Chad just basically like raises his gun. I think his name's Justin. He like raises his gun and is like, "Oh, he's there." And then the dad's like, "No," and he shoots the dad. The dad was such a nice character. It's just like, oh, he's dead now, which basically is just a reason for Mini Mike to fucking kill that piece of shit. So. I think Mini Mike disappears for a minute again, conveniently. He runs up, like Chad, Justin. I'll call him Justin because I think that is his name. But he runs up. He tries to help the girl again because he's like, "Oh, I've scared him off." I think Mini Mike hits him with a wrench again after he sees that Stacey girl's dead body, and puts a fucking blowtorch in this kid's mouth.
Oh my god, that was gory as hell.
It was mostly off screen. Like, it doesn't show like the money shot, but it's like shot so it's like you're laying on the floor next to them. And excuse me. Like you can see like him put the blowtorch in his mouth and it like lights up the inside of his cheeks. And this poor girl is fucking screaming and crying. But you missed the money shot, but you don't need it for such a brutal death like that. The implied like thought. So he does that. The girl's still fucking crying, and he sort of walks up. He walks up to her. She's like, "Please, please," and then she's like, "Oh shit!" And he stomps her head in.
Yeah,
I mean, in like one stomp, he crushed this poor girl's skull.
I don't really do graphic type of stuff.
That was horrific. That was like when the doctor died in the fucking 2018 one, where Michael does the same thing to him. But he stomps on this poor fucking girl's head. Well, as we said, she was nice. She was this character that should have survived by like typical horror movie standards.
I did feel sorry for her, but she acted her character out kind of really well, because you can kind of feel
it's conflicted,
the sorry for her, and you know that she really wanted to live. She didn't want to be killed, so she kind of did really well on her acting, I think.
She did well. She did a good job of playing the character, and her character is probably one of the best written ones. But she definitely played the conflict, but like she showed the conflict of her mind, where she was like, "I know we shouldn't be doing this, but these people are like my friends." It's a shame, but fucking the kill was graphic. They should have saved that for someone else. Well, that was a good kill, but that character didn't deserve it.
Yeah,
it's a shame, but
I kind of agree with you, but that's...
She should have been the one to be shot in the head instead of the dad, I think.
But
yeah, he then goes home, he kills his mum, like, I think, off screen, I think.
Oh my goodness, yes, I remember that.
Yeah, it's a very weird scene.
Yeah.
The mum is, like, abusive, but I think she even slaps him, but she's not abusive, but she's, like, mentally abusive.
It's kind of that mental game, you know, stuff that a lot of, you know, we talk about on the internet now, you know, gaslighting and stuff like that.
She's very much...
Because I can't think of the names off the top of my head.
She's not the best mother, but she clearly cares for him still, because she slaps him in an earlier scene and she's immediately like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I don't know what I did." But even with any kind of abuse once is more than enough. We won't get into that. That's a whole different debate we do not have the experience to talk about.
Yeah.
So he kills her, I think, mostly off screen, and you see her body later. But then he goes to the radio like building, the broadcast center, which was hinted at in the boring bullshit romance subplot.
That scene was really graphic. That really made me look away, because that was gross how he killed him.
He sort of like walks in, and this radio receptionist is like, "All right, can we help you?" She gets killed off screen, which is fine, pointless kill. But the DJ, who is a dick, because as I said earlier, basically every character that dies is a piece of shit. He basically told him to go fuck himself, very much like a "do you know who I am" kind of guy. He was in the earlier scene of the romance, but this fucking dude just gets his head slammed against the table loads. So much that it's like dislocated his jaw. It's like hanging off. Again, because I know who the effects artist is, big fucking shout out to Christopher Nelson, the makeup artist of this film. Holy shit, dude. You were like the highlight of this. You made all the kills. He's done most of them, I think. Especially like in the 2018 one where they kill the two cops in the car and they
the fact that he then, after he dislocated his jaw and his jaw was kind of hanging,
it was his tongue off.
The tongue was cut and thrown on top of the record player.
The record was still spinning and it kept getting stuck on the needle. It was like black humor. It was great, but it was a shame that this film was just mini. It should have been Michael doing it. But instead we're left with fucking Corey. Who I said when the trailers were on, he's the guy. He's in the trailer. Goes, it's Halloween. We're gonna have a fun night. I was like, I want this kid to die. I hate him already. So yeah, he kills the DJ, and then it cuts back to Laurie who's at home. Laurie once again, Jamie Lee Curtis still fucking killing it. Still does a great job of acting, but it's just a shame with this.
I kind of feel like they didn't give her enough. They didn't give her enough, like, fighting.
They did not do that with either of these films. Because the last film, she was in the hospital the whole time. It was just a shame.
But she did have more screen time, though. She was in a lot more. I feel like she was in a lot more screen time. Yeah,
she did more and had a bigger presence in the last.
Purely focused on Allison and.
No, I wouldn't even say Allison. It was like Corey was like our protagonist. Like Laurie and Allison were just there because the series had them. But we go back to Laurie's house again. Jamie Lee Curtis doing a great job. Still being probably the best part of the series other than the deaths. She pretends to commit suicide, which even though you know they're not going to kill Jamie Lee Curtis, like, come on.
Well, I honestly, when I was like watching this, I was at the point where they are actually going to kill her. Like, she's going to commit suicide. There was a point where I didn't really believe that.
She loads a gun and everything because obviously Allison has basically left her.
So
Karen is dead. It's just her. She's just like, I'll give up. But she shoots a pumpkin as like a way of, because she magically knew that fucking Mini Mike was going to come back for her. So that basically makes him think, oh, I've done the job. And she shoots him. She's like, you really think I was going to do it? Bang. He falls over the railing. He lands on the floor. Basically, it's like a mirror to Jeremy at the start. He sort of falls. And she goes down and confronts him, chats shit to him. It's just like...
But this is the best part, because as she's holding the knife, Allison...
No, not yet. Not yet. We'll get to that. But he talks shit. He once again goes, if I can't have her, no one can. And he stabs himself in the neck. He stabs himself, like, in the jugular with the big fucking knife that has no physics and can impale people to the wall. He stabs himself in the neck, he falls over, bleeds. Laurie then pulls the knife out and is holding it, and it's like, shit. And then Allison conveniently arrives back at the house.
Yeah.
So it looks like Laurie's just killed him. So she stomps off again. Laurie has a mental breakdown for a minute, goes into the back of the house, and then Michael comes. Because they forgot that Michael was part of this film. So he shows back up. May I say, Mini Mike has survived being stabbed in the neck. Admittedly, he's bleeding out, but that fucking homeless guy got stabbed once and died straight away. So it's just like, oh. So actual Michael, fucking breaks his neck. And I remember letting out this exhalation of air as if to be like, oh, for fuck's sake, thank God. Because, oh my God, what a fucking terrible character who wasn't even acted that great. He was very, like... There wasn't much point of him at all other than to kill people and cause conflict between our main characters.
Yeah, no, he was... I don't know.
It was terrible. It's all just because, like, Laurie accidentally insulted him and was like, I see Michael in you. And it's just like, ugh, stop. And then it goes with the whole, if I can't have her, nobody can. And then kills loads of people who wouldn't have any romantic interest in her anyway. It's just stupid. So he dies, Michael breaks his neck and gets his mask back. He sort of stalks Laurie around the house a bit. They have another scuffle. Just looks like Michael's about... She pins Michael to the table. She overpowers him and pins him to it. Like, stabs him in both hands, puts a fucking, like, I think it's like a shelf or a fridge or something. She, like, tips it onto his legs so he can't even stand up.
I believe it was the fridge. that went over.
Yeah. So they tip it onto his leg. She tips it onto the legs. Oh, so fucking dumb.
But that
She stabs him in the armpit, slits his throat, and it's like, we're done. He rips his hand out from a knife and grabs her by the throat. And she's like, do it, I'm ready. And I was like, cool. They're both going to die. I was like, Michael's going to die, Laurie's going to die, end of film, end of series, perfect conclusion. Alison happens to know that Michael was there and comes back. What? And it's like, not today. And just like, I think she slits his wrist. And it's just like, oh, Alison's back.
I remember his neck and both of his wrists being slit, so he's literally being drained of blood.
Yeah, which, I mean, he got stabbed and shot loads, and just a few cuts are going to kill him.
That scene dragged out for so long. Like, it wasn't just like a couple of fighting moves. It did drag out for a little bit.
It was a bit of a fight, but it was pointless. It was nonsense.
But just they wanted it like that because they wanted to keep the...
Well, they padded the runtime out with some bullshit romance. But, yeah. Oh, my God, it's so stupid. So that actually, may I say, that is, thankfully, the definitive end of Michael Myers. He bleeds out from being, like, having his body slit open. Not the gunshots, the broken bones, and all the fucking stab and bashing.
Oh no!
A few paper cuts kill him.
They've all got to make sure he's definitely not coming back.
Oh yeah, you've got to make sure that Mikey My stays dead.
Which is where this, no, we'll
save that. We'll save that. So they parade him through the city. They've got all the characters from the old films who are still alive. Like the kid who was being babysitted in the first film came back.
What was it? The woman in the wheelchair.
The woman in the wheelchair, who I forgot to mention because it's not in the plot summary, who got stabbed in the throat with a light, like one of the iridescent lights, like the really long light bulbs, got stabbed in the neck and basically bled out. Still alive, which annoyed me because people never die. So she's back. She's like being rolled with them, like everyone's following it to make sure it stays dead. And they go back to the scrapyard. I wonder why they'd be there. So they follow them all in a procession, and they kick his body into the metal fucking crusher. Oh my God. It's just a shame the payoff was there. I mean, they definitively kill him, but you're like, it's Michael Myers who's going to come back. But no, they kick him into the metal crusher and you watch his body get shredded. Like all his bones and skin is just, ugh. It's horrible. It's just dumb.
Yeah, I think all in all, that scene I thought the last, scene would stay with me, but I think this one's going to stay with me.
Yeah.
Just because of how...
The brutality of it is,
how well the graphics and the gore was done.
But yeah, the movie ends with Laurie finishing her book and being like, oh, Haddonfield is free of the boogeyman, my boogeyman, and cringe like that. The sheriff shows up who's been in and out of the film, and it's just like, I bought you fruit.
I really liked the ending because they were kind of like, I felt like they were going to be in love and that kind of thing.
I think that's what they were hinting at. It's like they were going to start a relationship together, but it's just like he's been in and out of the film. But I have like Hawkins, Frank, I believe his name is Frank Hawkins, the deputy sheriff or whatever he is, in and out of the film. As I said, he got stabbed in the neck and run over, and this dude's not even got a walking stick. He's got like no wounds. He got stabbed in the throat, and he's not like husky. Yeah. It's just like he's fine. It's like he's great. I know it's 3 years, but being run over by an SUV and being stabbed, nearly bleeding out, is gonna like leave some damage. But it ends with a happiness. Alison leaves and Laurie finishes her fucking book. Roll credits, happily ever after. So yeah, that is the film. It was. If you couldn't tell, we're not great fans of it. it's just, I know it's not a new take to be like Halloween ends bad, but it's like I will congratulate them for actually definitively finishing the series by killing him.
Yeah, it's just going to be a shame though because we've had one every year for the last 3 years, so to finally close it, knowing that we're not going to have anything next year for those people who are fans of it, who have been for the last 3 years to the cinema to go and actually see it. It's kind of a bit sad in a way, but then how much longer can they drag it on for?
Yeah, I mean, what can you do now? You've had the copycat.
I mean, everything's got to come to an end, isn't it? But it's just
everything has to come to a Halloween end. But thank God, like after the last film, I was kind of hoping they would let it finish in a good way. But instead, now it's just like, oh, this has been shit.
Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing, but
Yeah, as a quick recap, it was shit. Like the fact they replaced Michael for the whole film, and he has about 15 minutes of screen time and kills 3 people.
As I say, in
pathetically,
it kind of felt like, and the vibe I was getting from watching it was trying to be pushed at a whole new generation. And it was kind of like, oh, it doesn't matter if you've watched it from the start. We don't care about you lot and the true fans. We want to push this at a whole new generation. But then we're going to put flashbacks in there to confuse you as well.
As we say, the plot and the story was pathetic. I think the acting was mostly fine. As I say, Mini Mike was terrible.
I think the acting was fine. I just think that was just the script that they did.
Yeah, Laurie still did a great job. Jamie Lee Curtis, Alison, whatever they did with her character, what was the point? Corey was just cringe and pretty bad. Like, yeah, acting was fine. The cinematography was fine. Like, nothing special. The plot was garbage. But as I have in my notes, the kills are the best part.
Yeah.
If there's anything you can take from this, just watch it for the kills.
If you're a gory fan, then yeah.
Yeah, if you like practical effects at that, not CG, enjoy it.
The thing I would say is if you are going to watch this one, you are probably going to have to watch all the way back to the beginning, so you want to
probably skip
flashback.
I would probably skip all of Act 1. Except for the opening, skip all of the romance with Alison and fuckface. Skip all of that. Just get to where he fucking kills that homeless dude. Well, not even the homeless dude, because that happens early.
Yeah, but even if you do watch the second part of near the end, you're still going to have those flashbacks.
The flashbacks are there, but they serve not much purpose.
There was a flashback from each scene out of each film, so it's a bit like you're going to have to watch them all in order to get it.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't have to anyway, really, considering they're all, connected.
But
yeah, watch it for the kills. If you're looking for just a silly little slasher film where fuck all happens except people die.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not a horror person and you kind of like thriller a bit like me, because I don't really do horrors.
Even if you're not a horror fan, watch it because it's not scary.
I do kind of recommend it just because, there's not jump scares or anything and you can kind of guess what's going to come.
It's predictable is the issue. But as I say, it was good that they did definitively end the series with killing Michael.
Finally.
I think really one thing I heard was they should have had Laurie die in the older films, like in the last one or whatever, and have it be Karen and Alison avenging her. I mean, I know it's like their rivalry, but it's been 40 years, mate.
Yeah.
It's been 40, nearly 50 years since the original. It's like give over. Plus, we wouldn't have had to have that stupid fucking bit where they had an argument again and had the conflict.
Yeah, that was a bit useless.
But yeah, watch it for the kills. Forget just don't pay any attention. It's just mindless garbage. Just watch it for people dying. Overall, a score I would probably say maybe a 3 or a 4. Just because the kills are the only redeeming parts, and the fact it like ends the series. A 4, I think. I think I'll go with a 4.
I'm gonna give it 5 Rotten Tomatoes just because I kind of feel bad for how much we've just brought it down. But
yeah, but you think that's fair criticism? We just gave it because it's been fucking garbage.
There was some good bits, so it wasn't all bad.
As I say,
it's just how it was written.
It's just whoever wrote it didn't do great. But yeah, that's been our thoughts of Halloween Ends. I know we've been late for it. As I say, Morgan hasn't seen it yet, so he couldn't be here today. But thankfully, I have someone who I watched it with, so I wasn't just talking shit to myself for however long this has gone on for. So, hope you enjoyed. Thank you for joining us this cold November's evening. Okay. And we shall see you all in the next one. Once again, I've been Purple Midnight 8, or Mitchell. I've been joined by my fiancée, Amelia, aka the Obsidian Nook, or Falling Petals 111, Petal ASMR, whatever you prefer.
I go by a lot.
Anyway, I think she'll definitely be back for another one if we watch something without Morgan.
We want to do Megan, don't we?
We'll probably do Megan when that comes out.
That's coming out in January, so
yeah, stay tuned for that. Maybe Morgan will join us for that. We'll see.
Hopefully,
I think it'll be me and Morgan for the next review if we don't find something. So stay tuned for whatever bullshit we start watching. Thank you very much. We'll catch you next time.